Have you ever heard of a treasure map that's not made of paper or parchment, but of pure copper? And what if I told you this isn't some pirate legend, but a real-life artifact that points to one of the largest undiscovered treasures in human history today? We're diving into the mystery of the Copper Scroll, a document so unique and enigmatic it has puzzled archaeologists and treasure hunters for decades. Back in 1952, a team of archaeologists was exploring a cave near Qumran, on the shores of the Dead Sea. This area was already famous for the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient religious texts that revolutionized our understanding of early Judaism and Christianity. In one particular cave, now known as Cave 3, they found something completely different. Tucked away behind other scrolls were two rolled-up sections of a single copper sheet. It was so oxidized and brittle that it couldn't be unrolled without crumbling into dust. The team knew they had something special, but they had no idea just how extraordinary it was. It took another 4 years of careful planning before experts at the Manchester College of Technology in England finally decided on a radical solution. They painstakingly cut the fragile scroll into 23 separate strips to reveal its contents. And what they found was breathtaking. Engraved into the copper was a list, not a religious text, not a historical record, but a list of 64 locations where an immense treasure of gold, silver, and other valuables was hidden. The text is unlike anything else in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's written in a form of Hebrew that's different from the other scrolls, almost like a personal ledger. It describes staggering quantities of treasure. We're talking tons of gold and silver. For instance, one entry says, "In the cistern, which is below the rampart on the east side, in a place hollowed out of rock, 600 bars of silver." Another mentions 40 talents of gold. To give you some perspective, a single talent was a significant amount of weight. Some scholars estimate it as high as 75 pounds or 34 kilos. The total estimated value of this treasure, if it exists, would be in the billions of dollars today. This immediately raises the first big question. Where did all this treasure come from? Who had the resources to amass such a fortune and then hide it so meticulously? There are a few major theories. The most popular one connects the treasure to the Second Temple in Jerusalem. This theory suggests that as the Roman army advanced on Jerusalem in the 1st century, the temple priests and officials gathered its vast wealth and hid it throughout the Judean wilderness to protect it from being looted. The Copper Scroll, in this view, is their secret inventory, created to preserve the knowledge of the temple's sacred treasures for a future generation. This would explain the massive quantities and the religious items, like priestly garments and tithes, mentioned in the scroll. Another theory proposes that the treasure belonged to the East, the ascetic Jewish sect, believed to have lived at Qumran and written many of the other Dead Sea Scrolls. Perhaps this was their communal treasury, hidden away before the community was destroyed. However, it's hard to reconcile the Essenes' simple, non-materialistic lifestyle with the sheer scale of the wealth described. Could a community that renounced worldly possessions have owned tons of gold and silver? It seems unlikely, but not impossible. A third, more fringe theory suggests the treasure belonged to Bar Kokhba, the leader of the second major Jewish revolt against the Romans in 132 AD. His followers could have hidden their war chest, but the language and style of the scroll seem to place it earlier, closer to the time of the first Jewish revolt and the destruction of the Second Temple. So, we have a list of treasure. But what about the locations? This is where the mystery deepens and the real-life treasure hunt begins. The descriptions are frustratingly vague. They mention places like the salt pit that is under the steps, the cave of the twin columns, and in the aqueduct at the northern end of the reservoir. These landmarks might have been obvious to someone living in the region 2,000 years ago, but for modern archaeologists, they are incredibly difficult to pinpoint. The landscape has changed dramatically over 2 millennia. Erosion, earthquakes, and human development have altered or destroyed many of the reference points. Think about it. The scroll says things like, "In the ruin that is in the valley of Achor, under the steps leading to the east, 40 long cubits, a chest of silver and its vessels." Okay, but where exactly is the ruin in the valley of Achor? Scholars can't even agree on the location of the valley of Achor itself. Is it near Jericho? Is it somewhere else? The directions are a puzzle within a puzzle. Despite the challenges, people have tried. The most famous attempt was led by an archaeologist named John Allegro, one of the original scholars to work on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Allegro was convinced the treasure was real and came from the temple. In the late 1950s and early 60s, he led several expeditions into the Judean desert, following the scroll's clues. He was a controversial figure, often clashing with the more conservative academic establishment. He explored caves, excavated ruins, and followed every lead he could, but his expeditions came up empty-handed. He found no gold, no silver, not a single coin from the scroll's inventory. His failures led many scholars to dismiss the scroll entirely. This leads to the biggest debate of all. Is the treasure even real? Many respected academics argue that the Copper Scroll is not a literal treasure map, but a work of folklore or fiction. They point to the impossibly large amounts of treasure, suggesting that it's more of a legendary account, a story of what was lost rather than a practical guide to what was hidden. Maybe it was a work of religious allegory, where the treasure represents spiritual wisdom rather than physical wealth. This would explain why no one has ever found anything. The numbers are just too big to be plausible for a private group, and even for the temple. They seem exaggerated. But then, why write it on a fantastically expensive and difficult to engrave sheet of copper? Paper or parchment would have been far easier and cheaper. The choice of material suggests the creator wanted this document to last for eternity. You don't go to that much trouble for a simple piece of fiction. The permanence of copper implies the information was incredibly valuable and meant to be preserved against all odds, through fire, flood, and the passage of time. The practical, no-nonsense language of the list, like an accountant's ledger, also feels very real. It doesn't read like a story. It reads like an inventory. Furthermore, of the 64 locations listed, the very last one is different. It doesn't describe more treasure. Instead, it seems to refer to a second, duplicate scroll. It reads, "In a dry well at Kozlit." A copy of this document, with its explanation and their measurements and the details of each and everything. This is fascinating. It suggests a backup copy, a key to understanding the primary scroll, was also hidden. Finding this second scroll could be the key to cracking the entire code. But of course, the location Kozlit is just as mysterious as all the others. So where does that leave us today? The Copper Scroll remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries. It sits in the Jordan Museum in Amman, its secrets still locked away. Is it a guide to a multi-billion-dollar treasure waiting to be found? Or is it a magnificent piece of ancient folklore, a testament to a lost world and a lost fortune? No one knows for sure. What we do know is that the scroll offers a tantalizing glimpse into a chaotic and desperate moment in history. Whether it was priests trying to save their sacred heritage from foreign invaders, or a community hiding its entire worldly wealth, the story behind the scroll is one of high stakes and deep secrets. It's a story that has inspired countless books, documentaries, and treasure hunters, all dreaming of being the one to finally solve the puzzle. Perhaps one day, a lucky hiker, a determined archaeologist, or even just an accidental discovery will uncover a clue: a strangely carved stone, a hidden cistern, a second copper scroll land. The mystery will finally be solved. Until then, the treasure of the copper scroll remains hidden, waiting in the Judean wilderness. What do you think? Is the treasure real? And if it is, will it ever be found? Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thanks for joining me on this treasure hunt today. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!